Hello and welcome to Concert Pipeline. I'm Steve Jones. Today on the program we have Great Northern. I had a chance to talk to Rachel from Great Northern and we had a really fun chat. We have a lot to get into, including new music that they're releasing, kind of how she feels about her music, opening up for Smashing Pumpkins as part of BottleRock, and so much more. Before we get into all of that, though, I'll catch everyone up on a little bit on what's going on in my world. I'm really just going to talk about mostly what I did today. Which you might be able to see my eyes are a little bit red. I've been out fishing on the bay, which was a lot of fun. I went out with some buddies, my friend Joe, his wife Jackie, and a buddy John, and we got up very early, got out. We were on the water at 5:40 in the morning, and going out to try and catch halibut, which was a blast. I'd never caught halibut before, and so we took Joe's boat out, and he recently had a new motor put on his boat, which I helped him mount it on there and get it all set up. And this was the first voyage out on the bay with the boat. It was just so much fun. It was a blast. Just cool to just hang out, troll, try and catch some fish. We caught 2 stripers and 1 keeper halibut. We also caught a handful of other. We caught like 3 or 4 other halibuts that we couldn't keep, and 1 striper that we couldn't keep. They were too small. But we had a great time just getting out. Trolling around the bay and enjoying the day. It was so much fun, and I look forward to getting out again on Friday. We booked a charter for my upcoming birthday, which is going to be great. Some buddies and I will just get out and we'll catch more fish on that trip, because the charter is going to put us on fish and make sure that we catch them. Joe, Jackie, and I are all pretty noobs in terms of our fishing abilities. So we had a lot to learn, and still do have a lot to learn after that trip. But I'll tell you, I really enjoy it. I don't know a lot about fishing. I don't know what the right leaders are to use, or how to set up your jig, or what the right pole is for different fish, and kind of learning all of those pieces. How to also struggle a little bit with how to tie fishing knots. But actually being out there, just being out there is fun for me. I love being outdoors and getting to be in that environment, and it's great, right? No complaints at all. So what a great day. And I'm about to go to a dinner with my dad and his side of the family, again, to celebrate a milestone birthday that I have right now. So it's a good time. That's pretty much it. That's what's going on in my world. Nothing too crazy right now, but other than getting out and trying to make sure that I don't burn, because I do burn very easily. So I need to make sure I use sunscreen every time, and in all the places that need to be covered up, because any skin is showing, it's going to burn if I don't cover it. So that's my story. All right. So Great Northern, again, they're playing 2 shows as part of BottleRock. And they have a bunch of new songs that are out. They're kind of determining whether that's going to be a full album or what that'll look like, but I don't want to spoil everything, so I'll go ahead and bring Rachel on in, and we can have a little chat about what's going on in the world of Great Northern. Yes, Rachel, how are you doing?
Doing all right. How are you doing?
Good. Trying to stay cool. It's heating up, right? So
Oh God, yeah. I'm not ready. It just snuck up so fast.
I know we had such a wet winter, and then a little blip here, like last week, where got a little bit of rain, but no,
Yeah.
it's full on summer mode already, right? So
Where are you located?
I'm in Vacaville. You're in Napa, is that right?
We were in Napa recording a lot, but we actually bought a house in Fresno like 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd seen you were in Napa, and I know you're doing BottleRock. We'll talk about all of that. So I didn't know how long you were in Napa, or if you're in Napa. But Fresno, yes. We could talk about Fresno, and
Yeah.
if there's a place in California that's hot, it would be Fresno.
Oh my God, yes, this is very true.
I lived there for 10 months or something for a job, and yeah, I haven't spent a lot of time there since. I'll just say that it's like it's here's the thing. I'll just put it on the table, right? You expect it to cool down at night,
I
like
know.
like a Sacramento where it gets hot and everything, but then it doesn't, and
Yeah.
and you're just like, oh, okay, this is just gross.
Yeah, I've only lived here 3 years. Solon actually grew up here, which is when we lived in LA for 20 plus years, and then decided to move here like right before the pandemic. He was kind of he was looking at houses because they're affordable here. And I was like, I'm not moving to Fresno. There's no way. And that was my kind of same concept. But I've been pleasantly surprised by Fresno actually. And except the summers, like it's so hot, it's unbearable. But every other season is great. And it's kind of more seasonal than Los Angeles. So you get a colder winter, you get a shift into fall, and then spring is really beautiful. But the summer, I want to check out.
That's where I getcha. That's where I
Yeah.
getcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Need a seasonal house somewhere else, right? So
Yeah, totally.
yeah. Yeah, I want to talk to you a little bit about Napa because you have BottleRock coming up a little bit, and in a little
Yeah.
bit. You've done BottleRock before. Was last year your first time doing BottleRock?
Yeah, we have kind of it's interesting how that connection happened because we been doing this band since 2005, but took quite the break. Ended up being almost the last decade, the last 10 years.
Wow.
From putting music out. We just needed to take a break, individuate. We're a couple, but we're also started a band first before we, fell in love and did the whole other thing. So many years of that being intertwined, we took a break from so that we could get clear on, do we still want to do this? Do we both still like doing this? Do we like each other still? Like separate everything and start again. And so the connection with Napa. So while we were really busy in the beginning of the band, we had a booking agent that worked at William Morris, this guy, Tom Hoppe. And we just kept in touch with him through the years. He's just an awesome human being. And I reached out to him when we started working on these songs again. And I didn't know that he actually lived in Napa. I knew that he helped kind of get BottleRock off the ground, and he books all the bands, and previously he had worked with Prince and he's done like all kinds of stuff. But I called him and just to check in with him and tell him we're finally doing new music. And that's how we got on BottleRock last year, because he heard the songs and he was like, oh, wow, yeah, let's get you guys on there. And so we happened to be in Napa because we got this crazy idea to move into our friend's house that lives there. He's a painter, but he hadn't painted in years. He was doing wine labels. He comes up with a lot of the labels for lots of the wineries up there. So that was his like bread and butter, but he missed making paintings and we missed making music. So we got this wild idea to move into his house, move our studio up there, and kind of communal live together and create at the same time and just see what happens. And so we ended up doing that 2 years in a row for 2 months each. And that's where most of the songs were born. So that's the Napa connection. And since then, since we're up there all the time, all this Napa stuff is percolating. So
yeah. So you've done some other shows there with Jam Cellars and whatnot, right?
Yeah, we're gonna open for the Smashing Pumpkins, which is super exciting. And that's Jam Cellars Ballroom, which is also in Napa. That's the night before BottleRock, and then BottleRock is the next day when we play. So
yeah,
it'll be cool.
Yeah. I'm from Napa, so I've been to a good number of
cool.
Yeah, I've covered a bunch of them and been, I mean, it's a great festival, and I grew up in Napa. I grew up in Napa, got out for like 10 years, but ended up back there for kids and family and stuff, and and so I'd bike to BottleRock.
Amazing. That's smart because it's hard to get in there with a car. Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly. Parking's not fun at any festival, right? But
that's cool. So you're from Napa.
Yeah, so I was interested when I saw that you had that kind of Napa connection in a sense, and what did you enjoy about Napa during the months that you were there?
I mean, what did I not enjoy about Napa?
Big wine drinker?
Yeah, in the past, we're currently both not drinking alcohol. just taking a break from that. But yes, I have loved wine through the years for sure. Yeah. So that's something to love up there. It's just so picturesque, and it does get hot, but it cools down at night, and it's feels like a small town, but there's a lot still going on. And our friend that we moved in with is really connected up there. So we got to meet a lot of cool people and have, dinners, and it's peaceful there. It was really conducive to creativity, because we went up there, we didn't have any songs. I mean, we always have ideas floating around in like half recorded things, like during that time period where we didn't have a schedule to have to put things out, and when we got up there, it just started pouring out. So whatever the chemistry was, or the perfect storm up there, it helped us to get it out.
Yeah.
So it's cool. Yeah.
You're able to find the energy, right? So
Yeah.
I'll tell you, as someone who grew up in Napa, just it's incredible to see how the music scene kind of exploded there also, because there was no music scene when I was a teenager, young adult.
Yeah.
It didn't exist. Sacramento, San Francisco, there's Oakland, maybe, those are your options, but Napa, I mean, even beyond BottleRock, there's, Live in the Vineyard, there's Blue Note has a music series. Like there's so many series and artists that come to, and it's just like, they're coming to Napa, it feels like this thing that's just so foreign in a sense, right? So
That's so cool. It's so fun, I think, to see things evolve, because I mean, it's kind of like Fresno, there's a lot of parts of it that there's like nothing going on, and you could feel when you drive through the downtown how at one point it was bustling, but after 2020, a lot of people moved here because they realized, they didn't have to live where they worked. They could work remotely. So people from San Francisco, better quality of life, more like a backyard, and like a place for your kids to hang and stuff. So it's slowly evolving, like little restaurants and shops are opening up and things to do and places to actually want to go and hang out,
Yeah. So I want to talk more about the BottleRock stuff, because that's a lot of fun. And then obviously we'll get into the music and stuff. But so what was your experience like last year? Were there bands that you enjoyed seeing that you while you were there?
Yeah, it last year was kind of a whirlwind, because I had called Tom to check in, and we probably hadn't talked on the phone in a couple of years. So we had like a maybe 2-hour conversation, just getting caught up. And then I was like, well, you think we could get on BottleRock? And it was, I don't know, 4 weeks away or something. And he's like, well, it's booked, but if anyone drops out, so we got a call 2 weeks out that we could play it. And it was really last minute. We got thrown on at like noon, and we were like, let's do it. And we had been practicing, and, because we were in work mode. So we were ready for it. And it was kind of a whirlwind, like I said, because we hadn't played live like that in years. So it was, we were catching up with ourselves the whole time. So we didn't actually go and see a lot of the other bands. We played and then met up with a few friends, and then that was pretty much it. And we had a show a couple days later at the Jam Cellars Ballroom. We opened for the Silver Sun Pickups, old friends of ours. So we were kind of more focused on that. But this year we've had preparation, and there's so many incredible bands playing too. So we're going to probably stay all weekend once we're done. And check it all out. Yeah.
Make a weekend of it. Who are you looking forward to seeing then at this year's festival?
I mean, I really want to see Duran Duran. I've never seen them. I really want to see Smashing Pumpkins. So I'll probably see them twice, because the night we play with them. And then, I mean, I have to look at the list to see it. I liked a lot of the bands. Let me look really quick. I'll tell you more.
Yeah.
Phantogram, I love. I don't know when everybody's sets are though, so I hope I don't miss Lizzo. I would love to see Lizzo. I'd love to see Lil Nas X. Who else? Yeah. I mean, there's so many, It's cool.
Dogstar just got added, in case you're a Keanu Reeves fan.
That's right. I do love Keanu Reeves. I think he's full of integrity, but I've never heard Dogstar.
I saw them live 20 years ago or something at a festival in San Francisco, and then there was an autograph signing. And the only thing I could think of to say to Keanu was, I thought you were pretty cool in Speed.
I'm sure he's heard that before.
He just kind of shook his head and just continue on,
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, Okay, yeah, okay. Well, we stick with that. You know.
You're like, what did I just say?
Yeah. So that was fun, but yeah, I'm not able to make the festival this year, but
Oh,
um,
bummer.
I know it's a milestone birthday on Friday and next Friday, and
Oh,
so I'm like, I can't do BottleRock this time, you know, but
happy
hopefully next year.
birthday.
Well, thank you, thank
So
you.
what's the date
Um,
of your birthday?
May 26th.
May
So
26th. So are
yeah,
you Gemini?
I am Gemini. Yes.
Gemini. Cool.
Yeah. Yes. But yeah, it should be fun. I mean, and there's some good artists, and Smashing Pumpkins will be cool. Have you seen them live before?
I
Or
have never seen them live, and they're one of my seminal, I think one of most people's seminal bands. Like growing up, they changed my life by hearing their music, you know.
yeah,
It's like a full circle moment to get to play a show with them. It's crazy.
yeah, I've seen them a couple of times. They put on
Ah,
a good show. I saw them at the Fillmore once, and
nice.
yeah, I couldn't. I mean, it was a cool show. I mean, but it was like they were doing like a 3 hour set, and I
Oh,
was like,
wow.
it was a little much on that one. But
You were like, that
I'm,
was long.
I know. I think I made about two probably, but but I was like, I gotta go. But it was good.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a commitment
yeah.
for sure.
Well, let's talk about your music and stuff. So, what did you grow up on? Like, what were your parents into and listening to when you were a kid?
Yeah, the first thing that pops in my head is like the blue station wagon with 8-track tapes, like driving up to Big Bear. We had a cabin in Big Bear. So it was like Bob Dylan, John Denver, Kenny Rogers. It wasn't the Beatles. It's funny. I came into the Beatles way later. Who else was it? Joan Baez, Carly Simon. Then it became like Cyndi Lauper and Bryan Adams. This was still like kind of through my parents. And then I think when I was in like 8th grade, there was a Depeche Mode concert, and I was secretly listening to them in my room. I don't know why secretly, but something about it felt dark, you know, and I
Yeah,
just didn't want my parents to hear it or something. But I think my instinct was right, because I got tickets through like a friend, because I think you had to be like 18 to buy them or something. But we had like older sisters that were going to drive us to the Depeche Mode concert, and then I wasn't allowed to go because my parents were like, something bad could happen there or something. But they became a huge influence, Depeche Mode. And then I think that's when I kind of broke off from listening to like what I was brought up listening to, and started to find what spoke to me. And then it was like Concrete Blonde and Sinead O'Connor, love PJ Harvey, Thompson Twins. I mean, it was eclectic, you know.
yeah,
It was,
yeah. And where did you grow up?
I grew up in Orange County in Huntington
Okay,
Beach. Yeah.
and your parents were protective over you going to shows and stuff. Like,
I mean, it doesn't really make sense but I guess they just were, they went to concerts, but it wasn't like, you know, concerts that happen like that only certain people know about. Like, that's like, you need to show like this card that got passed out at this, like, you know, party 3 weeks before kind of thing. They were just like, they would go and like see Bill Cosby perform like a comedy thing or something. So it was much more safe feeling to them. So when there were bands that I loved that they didn't understand or know about, they didn't want me to go, you know, like as a protective device, which made
yeah,
me want to go more.
yeah. That's exactly it for me too. By the way, I can relate. Like, my mom made me sell my Red Hot Chili Peppers at the Fillmore tickets that I had, and never forgiven her. And I kind of rebelled through that and went to many more concerts and
Yeah,
started
yeah.
interviewing bands and everything. I was like, I'll show you. So
Yeah, it's kind of
yeah,
like once you start to dig into music, if it's something that speaks to you, like it's for me at least, it can become quite obsessive. And somebody telling me I can't go, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to work around that and figure out how I can go, because I have to see this, you know, in real life, or else I'm going to die. That feel,
yeah,
you know, when you're young and you're just like, oh my God, I have to see this. Yeah.
yeah. Were there some concerts early on when you went to that were like life changing and made you kind of want to do that, want to perform?
Yeah. I mean, I grew up a couple shows we actually played together. Rage Against the Machine. We played at like Claremont College with them. And I remember I only
Really?
stayed for like 3 songs. It's like I was in like the punk scene. It's like all dudes and me. Like when I listen to this music that I used to do, I'm like, where's the melody? But
Yeah.
it was a cool thing to be a part of because it was people that stood for something. And but when I saw Rage play, I was like, holy shit, like this is next level, because the energy in the room changed, and it was so intense and visceral and explosive and mesmerizing,
Yeah. So how did that show come about? How did you get to play with them? I mean, were they? I mean, they were still Rage when you played with them. Like they were huge, right?
Yeah, they
They
were
had to have
just starting though. They were just starting.
yeah.
They were older than us, but we had this band, it's like the skate punk scene called Coldwater Crane. And we got asked to play it. So it was like the one show that we played with them. But after that, because of that show, I went to go and see them more, because I needed more, another dose of it, because it's funny when somebody really goes for it on stage, it can ignite something in you, even if you're
Yeah.
not a performer, it can awaken something that makes you live a little bit more fully in the next moment, because you didn't realize that it was even possible, so yeah, I mean, I don't even remember how that show happened, but it was kind of like a free for all at that time. Like in that scene, it wasn't so separate, it was like
Right.
the Beastie Boys would play with, I mean, I can't even think of an example, but somebody who was the opposite, but it was like an eclectic concert. And like, if you liked all those genres of bands, like they'd all play together and you'd go see it, it was like, it was cool.
Yeah.
Different time, I guess,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
It's different now for sure. For
yeah.
sure. And so what were the first instruments that you picked up? What did you kind of latch on to?
Singing was first since I was really little. And then piano. I took piano lessons. I would say I was forced because I have like massive ADD. So sitting still and learning is like really hard for me.
Yeah.
I graduated college. I still don't know how, because I like fell asleep in so many classes. Just because sitting there for so long listening to someone talk, I'm like, oh my God, like so if I'm moving around or doing jumping jacks or something, like I can take in a lot more information. But anyway,
Yeah. And it wasn't really probably diagnosed back then either, right? Like, I mean, well, like it was
no,
still, I mean, ADD, ADHD, ADD, whatever you call it, I mean,
yeah.
yeah, I had the same thing, like 7th grade, like as I was diagnosed with it, it kind of wasn't a thing after that, but it's there.
Yeah. I don't even think I really understood that that's actually what had been happening to me until I was like in my early 30s. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, wait, there's a name for this. Oh, and it fits this exact description. How weird. But I think a lot of creative people are that way too. But so yeah, piano, my teacher was Margaret Bond. She was amazing. She was this like kind of a hoarder, but it was a charming kind of hoard. Like when you walked in, you had to walk in sideways to her house and there was stuff everywhere.
Oh
And
no.
she had cats, but it wasn't dirty. It was just kind of uh bohemian, especially for Orange County. That's why she made such a impression, because she was an artist, but she would give me stickers if I did well in piano. So I didn't actually really learn how to read music, even though I was supposed to, but I ended up picking it all up just because by ear. So I would say that's the instrument I'm the best at, but I'm not, a virtuoso or anything. That's how I write mostly. And then I play a little bit of guitar, which came later. I'm definitely less great on that than I am the piano, but I love plugging it in and using pedals and sounds, and I kind of play it more like a bass player for some reason to keep it
Yeah.
simple. Yeah.
Yeah. How often do you kind of practice, or do you pick up instruments? Like, do you put time aside every couple of days or every week to do it, or?
No, I don't. I'm not one of those musicians. I do it when I get the pull to create and write something. And that could be like in the middle of when I'm watching a movie, or if I'm walking the dogs, or, I'll do it when I feel compelled to, like that something's coming through that needs to get out. But I listen to, like I listen to Broken Record, that podcast with Rick Rubin. I don't know if you've heard it.
Okay. I think I've heard of it. Yeah.
It's really good. But he does a series with like 3 or 4 episodes with John Frusciante and from Chili Peppers, among other things. And he talks about all the exercises that he does and all of the things he does to stay warm and play. And it's just like, I have such reverence for that. That's not how I am. Plus now I'm just singing live anyway. I'm not playing. So I'm leaving it to the other players. I'm working on my voice, as opposed to my instrument at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about how Great Northern kind of got together. You mentioned that, I mean, obviously it's with your husband now, but he wasn't your husband then. But how did that come about?
It's funny. We both don't remember how we met.
Yeah. Oh no.
But it's funny, but like we just remember always seeing each other and talking, running into each other. Like we would be at the same show, seeing the same bands, and we would just start talking. So this went on for like a good 7 years. We'd run into each other. Oh, hey, what's up? Blah, blah, blah. And he had a girlfriend, I had a boyfriend. But we always happened to be like out by ourselves during that time. And we talked about playing music together because we had like similar tastes, but he was in other bands and I did a little bit of acting for a while. So I was kind of doing that more. And this went on. And finally, like we met one night at this Elliott Smith show in Los Feliz. And the night before I was thinking, God, I really want music back in my life. And I miss it. And I wrote it on a little piece of paper. And then the next night I ran into him and he's like, hey, this is so weird. I have all these songs I've been working on. Do you want to sing and play piano on them? And I was like, yes, would love that. Brought him home and we exchanged 4-track tapes back and forth for like 8 months, not even in the same room, started writing. And that's how Great Northern was born. And then once we got in the studio together, that's when we realized there was a little more tension going on. A little more chemistry going on than we realized. And it's been a lot of years since then. So our first record came out of those passing the 4-track tapes back and forth for those 8 months.
Trading Twilight for Daylight, right?
Yeah. So that's how it started.
Yeah, that's cool. And so tell me about the process of making that first album. Like, did it just click naturally? How did you bounce stuff off of each other and kind of go back and forth on stuff that you wanted to kind of incorporate into the album?
Yeah, I mean, I think there were many factors going on during that time. It did seem to fall into place with this kind of synastry. But it was also, we were falling in love. So that always makes everything like so much easier. It's just like, so yeah, it was just a natural progression. And we also had the opportunity, we started playing shows before we put the record out. So the songs started getting formed through live playing, which is so great if you have the opportunity to do that. So by the time the record got recorded, we were very familiar with the songs and they had already kind of come to life in a live setting. And then it was a matter of just trying to convey that. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah. And so how much have you been able to tour with Great Northern? How far has the tours gone for you?
We toured pretty heavily across the US and Canada for a good like 6 years for the first 3 records. And then we stopped around 2013 and we put out another record in 2015, but we never really toured it or anything. And then we just kind of stopped until now. So it was we were pretty busy for a while. And then it kind of slowed down. A lot of things were changing in the music industry as well at the same time when we were kind of questioning like our dynamic and do we like this? Do we want to still do it? Is it sounding the way we want? Like the way we were creating together was not, I would say, healthy anymore. Because we got together as kids and then we started growing up, and compromise in a relationship is different than compromise with creativity. And there was a lot to sift through. So it was kind of like, in retrospect, we're both so glad that we did this break. It was hard during that time because when you're not playing music for an amount of time, you start to think, are you ever going to do it again? Do you even know how? Like, it feels so far away from you, you know? So it's really exciting to be doing this now, because I think what we're creating is so much more a reflection of who we are, because we've taken the time to go deep and to dive into the shadow. And I think when you do that is where you find the gold, you know, when you get to the other side. So
yeah. Do you think that making new music after so long has kind of brought you closer together as a couple, or do you think how does that kind of?
Yeah, it kind of, because we're doing it in a new way, because we did get into some bad habits through the second and third record, like roles that were so strongly defined that it was just, we needed to break it all apart and destroy it so that we could come at it with a beginner's mind and start new. And the purity of creation could come alive again without ego and bullshit, you know? So yeah, it's definitely brought us closer together, because creation and music is sometimes more intimate than sex in a lot of ways, you know, because it's just a different kind of intimacy. So yeah, it's igniting us again, our connection as well as our individual connection to creativity. And it's been really awesome. I'm so glad we didn't give up and just stop, you know, because it's hard not to, because, you know, making a living as a musician is not the easiest.
It's not, especially,
Do.
you know, it's like, okay, you can't really sell CDs anymore. Like,
Yeah.
that's not really a thing as like it was. You have to succumb to the digital, you know, way, and you make your money on the road and through merch and everything, right? It's kind of mostly it. But you know, if you're passionate about it, you know, then you know you want to put your art out there, right? So
Of course, yeah.
Did you feel like it was this thing that was just like missing from you for a long time?
Absolutely. I mean, it's always there. That's the funny thing, is like, if you really want something, I think that it wants you too. I mean, if you're haunted by something, the way, like, because we found other creative pursuits and ways to make a living, and could have been like completely satisfied, you know, with this other life, but we both weren't. It's like you have to shut down a part of yourself, because when you create music, at least my experience of doing that, every cell in your body comes to life in a way that like nothing else makes it do that. It's such a high vibrating thing that not having it for years, that's missing, that like extra spark is missing, you know?
Yeah.
And it's always there, because you're in the music and the music is in you. Like, nobody can deny it, but if you don't exercise it, then it can feel like a stranger, you know?
Yeah. And so you've put out a handful of singles now, with the most recent being Animal. And are you kind of envisioning this coming together as an EP, as a full album? Like what does that look like for you?
It's a good question.
We haven't thought that far yet.
Well, we have a lot of songs at this point. We've never been in this position where we have this many songs. We have like over 25 that are contenders. Originally we were going to make one record that came out of the times that we were spending in Napa. Since then, like, Animal came out actually in our home studio back in Fresno. So we were going to call the record Spooky Season, and it was going to come out last year, and obviously it didn't, and we didn't come with that. So now we're rethinking. I think we're going to make one album and pick, you know, 8 to 11 songs, including like everything we've released up to Animal, and then add the rest, which would be 5 or 6 more to come out like this year at some point, hopefully end of summer. And then we might just put out another one really soon after that. You know, we toyed with.
You have the other stuff. You feel good about the other stuff that's on the, you know, it wouldn't be on the cutting room floor. It'd just be on the back burner sort of thing, right? So.
Yeah, there's some stuff that went on the cutting room floor, but there's a lot to sift through. And Animal was kind of like a teacher for all these other songs. It's weird. It came out through another song that we literally mixed like 32 times and could not get it to sound right. But we know it's like the potential's there. And we just like got so frustrated with this one song. And we took a 2-week break from it, came back to it. And I was like, let's just like strip everything away except the beat and let's see what we hear. And then Animal came from that. Like, and then we took some of the beat out and added this other stuff. And then Animal just like flew in. Like, I was like, hey, this. It just came in really fast. And it sonically for the two of us, the whole experience is dictating how we treat all the rest of the songs, even the ones that were already out, like on Spotify or whatever, but we're playing live because something happened sonically with Animal where there was more space created. And there were, I don't know, it feels balanced to us and alive in a way that now we want to utilize it as a landmark for all the rest. So it was a little bit of a turning point. So we're going back through all the songs, the 25 and that we have, or I don't know if that's the exact number, but around that. Does it give us that same feeling? Does it have that same, so that's what's going to dictate probably what's on this first one versus the second, because there's some slow ballads and we still want them to have that feeling, but they might be better like, here's our little After Dark slow dance EP and, figure that out.
Yeah.
There's no rules at this point, like it's the Wild West right now with music. So some people put out one song, some people put out double album. Just depends on like what you're feeling,
Yeah. And is there someone whose opinion you go to, like outside of Solon, like that you bring in that you're to before you release it? Like, I don't know if you work with a producer or is there someone that you're like, you just like, I need to check myself before you kind of put this out into the world?
We always are open to suggestions. All the other records we ever made, we had worked with other producers. This is the first one that we produced, wrote, mixed, everything ourselves. And it was a really interesting journey getting there. I think we didn't know who we were as much back in the day, kind of like human beings when they're younger think they know, but they don't really know anything. And I still feel like I don't know anything, but I think I know myself better. I think that's the only thing I can maybe have control over is learning who I am. So
yeah,
we didn't want to ask anyone because for their opinion, because like if we like it, that's all that matters. Like that's all we can do, and then put it out into the universe, and how it's received we have no control. But if it sparks us and ignites us, like that's the winning lotto number.
yeah.
So I would say we didn't really ask anyone about these songs. We both got excited at the same time, and like that was what, like the hair on our arms would stand up in certain times, like, okay, I think this is good, So if we like it, hopefully someone else is gonna like it. I don't know. We'll see.
You're like crickets at BottleRock. You're like, oh, okay, that one didn't work. Got it. Okay, you've spoken loud and clear.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm sure it'll be great. Yeah. One thing I want to make sure I ask you is you recorded Into the Sun in Simlish for Sims 2. And
we did.
I've talked to a couple of bands who have done that sort of thing over the years, and it's just the most mind-boggling thing to me. So I want to know your experience, because you have to kind of warp your brain in a sense to be able to do that sort of thing, right? Like tell me your experience with doing that.
It's funny. I haven't thought about that in a long time, but I don't think I realized, like, when I am coming up with a melody for music, I do the same thing. I mean, I don't speak in Sims. I don't know how to do that.
You don't do that for all the songs and then break it back.
That would be really weird if I did that. But like I don't have words yet, right? So it's just about sounds and gibberish, and then sometimes like the subconscious is allowed to come out more, and you actually can go back and listen and figure out what you were saying, even though they aren't words. And so for me, doing that was actually like almost easier, because the human language has so much attached to it that when you say a word out of your mouth, you know the connotation and the meaning, and you might know the response you're going to get from another person. But with this other language that you've no fucking idea what you're saying, it's more about sound and the song. So it was just about following the melody of the song as opposed to like this language that I even understand, you know. It's kind of like get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
You just are music, and you don't have to worry about, like, because the human language is so limiting, you know, like to describe something, sometimes there's no words, you know.
Yeah. What a unique experience though, huh?
Yeah, it was totally. I mean, a lot of people love that game. I'm not like a gamer, but a lot of people love that game, right?
Yeah,
Or
I think
did back in the day. Like
yeah, it's been a minute since it's been really popular, but it was popular.
yeah.
And I mean, and there are bands that have done, you know, again, a number of bands that have done the same sort of thing, and just to be able to put themselves into that space. It's not just like, okay, yeah, you can go take my song and license it, and or you know, do what you want with it, and pay me some money, right? No, you have to
Right.
actually go in and do it yourself and kind of succumb to this style of, I don't know. It seems
Yeah.
like the coolest.
I remember we laughed a lot doing it, which is always a good sign, because I think if it's not fun anymore, then that's when it starts to become an issue, like, you know, music.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes you feel like a kid when you don't know what you're doing, and then you might hit a jackpot of creativity like from it, you know.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's really cool. When you go to concerts, just as a Fresnan, I should know the name of
I don't know.
yeah,
Fresnoian? No, Fresnian.
Fresman,
Fresnian?
Fresnian, yeah.
Or we call it the Frez with a
It's,
Z, so it could be just the
I,
Frez.
I do remember it's not Fresno, it's Fres. Yes, I do remember
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that's what that was my takeaway. But as someone in Middle California, do you find yourself going to more shows in the Bay Area or Southern California?
um, I mean, I don't really go to that many shows. I think there aren't that many. There are some here, actually. I'm starting to go to more, because there's like this whole surge of like young kids doing shows at like all these abandoned buildings. That it's kind of like how I grew up in the OC, like the skate punk scene. It was like a warehouse that like nobody knew about, or like, you know, so that's been really cool, and that's right around the corner.
Yeah.
I think your kids can hear
Speaking of right around the corner, in the middle of an interview. Yeah, okay. We'll talk about it in a bit. Okay, go on. Go on. He's never walking
Cute.
by.
Yeah, that's cute.
We need to watch Guardians of the Galaxy. It's not going to happen. He's
Guardians
too
of the
young.
Galaxy.
Yeah, three. Yeah,
Uh,
I was talking to my buddy and reading up on it. Like it's a little too much there for a 9-year-old. So I'm like, I got to find something else to, you know, because
we'll
he's
pack that
under
away.
this impression. Under this impression it's happening, and I don't think so. So, but I'll deal with that after. But
Yeah.
yeah. Well, as we wind down, what's a really positive memory that you have, either from the band, obviously making music with your husband, or a live show, a live experience that you had where things just like really clicked, and you walked away and just you're like, this is great. This is something that I'll remember for a really long time.
I mean, honestly, it's right now, like at practice.
Oh, I thought you were going to say this interview is it?
Oh,
Like literally right now. No. Go ahead.
You're like, wow, thanks, Rachel.
Thank you. It's memorable here too. No.
I mean, I love Solon's guitar playing. That's a good memory. Like when we first started playing together, I was blown away by him because he's super talented. I love the sounds that he makes. And last year, BottleRock, we played just as a 2-piece. So a lot of tracks and a drum machine. And now we have a drummer. The last 4 months we've been playing with him, and he's a local Fresnian. And there's something happening with us three that is like magical. So when we play and practice, both of us, like Solon and I, are like, holy fuck, like it's this new chapter. It's these songs, and it's this combination of players. I think we found like a really good synergy. So we're practicing every morning 10 to 12, which we've also never practiced in the morning. And it's like a whole new chapter. It's been really amazing. So I would say right now, like even just in this tiny room in Fresno where we're like sweating our faces off, it's
Yeah,
awesome. It's
it's
really
great.
awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, you got to have the AC, right? So
We do, but we usually
okay.
practice like 6 songs before we put it on just to see if we can handle it. So that way, wherever we play, if we
Endurance.
get hot, we're not going to like, pass out.
Yeah, it's a good call. Good call. Well, that's great, and congratulations on getting to play BottleRock. Are you playing? You lining up other shows for the summer, or what does that look like?
Yeah, we have a show actually tomorrow night. We're playing with this awesome duo. It's an 11-year-old girl and her dad. Her dad plays drums. They call themselves the Cosmic Space Bunnies. And
Nice.
she's a shredder on guitar. Like they do covers and then 2 original songs. She plays all like Jack White songs.
Oh yeah.
So that's going to be really fun, us and them tomorrow night. And then, yeah, we're meeting with some managers and booking agents up after the Smashing Pumpkins show and after BottleRock. So I really hope that we can get something going. We'd love to start touring this music, and we need to play down in LA because we haven't done that yet. So we're in the process of getting it all going.
Getting it out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool. Well, Rachel, I want to thank you for taking the time, and
Yeah,
and
thank
good luck with
you.
the album as you pull it together, and everything's going to come together. And you're at this spot where you just feel really great about the music and getting back into it again, and that's such a cool feeling and experience, right? So
Yeah, it's great. I feel grateful. Super
yeah.
grateful.
Yeah, well, enjoy BottleRock, even though you're not going to partake in the wine part. There's some good culinary food there, and there's always Dog Star, right? So
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much for having me on. It was awesome.
of course. That was my interview with Great Northern here on Concert Pipeline, and that takes us to the final segment on the program, the music news. I have a couple of stories to wind out the program today, so let's get to those. The first has me questioning whether radio is finally dying. It's hard to know, but car manufacturers Ford, BMW, Tesla, and others are moving to remove AM/FM radio from new models. Lawmakers in the US have drafted a bill to block the move. So that car companies were influenced by the medium's shrinking consumer base, as well as a quirk with electric engines that disrupts its signal. So if it's not getting a great signal, it's not going to be very enticing to listen to radio, right? That's kind of my deal. Also, I caught myself the other day in the car with the kids, and I was listening. I turned on the radio because it was that one of those moments where it's like, what do I listen to with kids in the car? I listen to a lot of podcasts, and there's some language in them. They're just free conversations, and I'm like, I don't really want to listen to that with kids right now. Let me turn on the radio, and I can't even find a station that has. I turn it on, and it's just already staticky. The stations that I listen to, right? And so then it's just like, oh yeah, okay, well, I don't want to deal with that or with commercials. So let me just tell Apple Music to play Fleetwood Mac. That's what I ended up going with. So I shut radio right back off. I haven't listened to radio, consistently in years. I mean, I did grow up being very much a part of FM radio and listening to it a lot. I interned at a radio station. I had connections with DJs at radio stations. I really loved the medium growing up and kind of making it part of my environment and my culture that I created for myself. But we don't really need it anymore. It's kind of time to move on past it because there are commercials every 25 minutes, maybe more. And, and then, the music isn't you can play whatever you want streaming. So why would you need the radio unless you're just trying to veg out and not make a decision, right? Well, I think it's okay for radio to move on. And I mean, everybody's got a podcast now, so President Party included, and is ultimately their own radio DJ. So we don't really need radio DJs anymore. There's some that have been around for a long time and are still doing their thing and probably still have an audience, but they can transition to the podcast form and still, kind of maintain their audience that way. I would think there are opportunities for that. Uh, so there, BMW, Mazda, Pulsar, Rivian, Tesla, Volkswagen, and Volvo have already removed the audio feature from their electric vehicles, while Ford has announced that it will extend its phasing out to both future electric and gas-powered models. Nissan, Toyota, and Honda have stood firm against the frequency's forced removal, while a collection of bipartisan lawmakers in the U.S. have drafted a bill to block car makers from doing so. The bill would direct the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration to issue regulations to mandate AM radio in new vehicles without additional charge, reports Reuters. So I guess there are some features that they feel like they have to keep as an emergency kind of thing, but I don't think it's necessary. I don't know. I don't see it. Who knows? All right, so that's that story. Weezer performed Buddy Holly for striking writers outside of Paramount Studios, and Imagine Dragons previously performed for the striking writers to show their support as well. Let's see. They joined striking writers at a picket line outside of Paramount Picture Studio, where they performed an acoustic set to entertain the strikers. A clip of the set, which was captured by striking Disney writer Brittany Jang, shows Weezer performing their hit Buddy Holly. And it has strikers singing along. And so they also performed Beverly Hills and Island in the Sun. So I guess they're just out there helping keep spirits up during this writer strike, which doesn't seem to be ending anytime soon. No late night television right now. And I love late night television. I don't know that I miss it because it's just, a lot of what they always cover the same stuff, and Trump and all of that, and I don't really need that, but I do love late night television shows because I think they're really innovative and creative and entertaining. But I know there's more than just late night that's affected. There's a lot of other shows as well that are going to dry up because of the writer's strike. So enjoy it while you can, binge it or until you lose it, right? For this first time in 15 years, the writers in Hollywood have gone on strike, but it's happening. They need more money, and they'll hold out until they get it. And the story about Lizzo. I asked concert attendees to bring giant pictures of her boyfriend, Mike Wright's face, to her show instead of Chris Evans, I guess, that she once flirtatiously charmed. So I don't know what the story is about that. Actually, the article is cut off, but she asked a bunch of people to bring pictures of her boyfriend. Interesting. And then the big news, Foo Fighters, we always try and end with the story about Dave Grohl here on Concert Pipeline when we can. Today, they had an event where they played a bunch of new songs off their forthcoming album and announced who their new drummer is. They've also dedicated their new album to Taylor Hawkins, their former drummer, who passed away, and Dave Grohl's mother. And they shared a couple of singles off the album. The new album is "But Here We Are," and it was dedicated to both of those. I guess Dave Grohl lost his mother as well, and so they're both dedicated. The album is due out June 2nd, and it's going to be their first new material since Taylor Hawkins passed in 2022. They, like I said, they did a live stream sort of event right now called Preparing Music for Concerts, and they played 8 songs as part of that with their new drummer, Josh Freese. Josh Freese is he's been announced as the new drummer after the death of Taylor Hawkins. During the Foo Fighters Preparing Music for Concerts live stream that previewed their 11th album, they introduced him. He's played with Nine Inch Nails, The Offspring, Sting, and Weezer, among many others. He also played with the Foo Fighters during a London tribute show for Hawkins in 2022, even playing on Taylor Hawkins' very own drum set. According to a post on Instagram showing Hawkins' drum set, Priest said he insisted playing the drum set for the London tribute show, saying, "I want that energy to be up on that stage." And he also reflected on his friendship with Hawkins, saying the two often bonded on how they felt like they were the only two guys from Orange County in the room. So they had a very close relationship, and he's going to probably fit right in with the Foo Fighters. It'll be good to see them in August in Lake Tahoe. Looking forward to that show. So that is our show for today. So I want to thank everybody for tuning into Concert Pipeline. Next time on the program, we're set to have Josie Cotton. So tune in for that. And for all of us here at Concert Pipeline, I'm Steve Jones. We'll catch you next time.